If I gave a fuck what y'all think I would be doing this? Welcome to the FMFU podcast, the podcast that's from me, for us. Vulgar but true, real and never fake. I'm your host, Reese, and I've got a lot of shit on my mind today, so let's get into it. Happy Friday, people. How y'all week been going? Despite the fact of us getting smacked by 2 nor'easters in the past week, I've been alright. People at work been bitching about how they haven't had power for a week, basements getting flooded, generators not working. Real fucked up situations for them, for real. Thankfully, my only issue was a flickering light or two, which, I'll be real with you, that light had me shook for a second. I'm on a fucking game playing PS4 and shit, and it cut off in the middle of me playing. I'm on that Dragon Ball FighterZ, the greatest fighting game of all time. And I thought maybe my system was going to be fucked up, man. I'll be real with you. If something happened to my system, I probably would have offed myself, because I think that's only the one piece of sanity I have left. Somebody needs to shoot that fucking groundhog, though, for seeing his shadow this year, because enough is enough. I had it with this motherfucking winter in this motherfucking state. Shout out to Sam Jackson. Real shit? Sam Jackson, probably one of my favorite actors of all time. The only one who can play the same role in every movie and it still fit perfectly. Plus, he old school. He like 69 years old. Speaking of that, how old is Morgan Freeman? Morgan Freeman about 80 and he still look good too. Shit crazy, right? Mama always told me life was like a box of chocolates, and she also said that blacks don't crack. But anyways, fuck that groundhog for making these 6 weeks of winter longer and stretching into March. But moving on, it may be March, but I told y'all motherfuckers in episode 13 that even though February is over, it's still gonna be Wakanda forever, bitch. Black Panther is continuing to shine. Skirt 22s. It's been reported as of March 5th, Black Panther has officially crossed $501 million in North America and $897 million worldwide. It looks like the train is continuing to roll down the money track, and that Billy mark is about to get punched soon. Salute to Ruth Carter for being the costume designer for Black Panther and bringing the vibrant characters of Wakanda to life. For those who don't know, Ruth is one of Hollywood's most sought-after costume designers and the first African-American costume designer to be nominated for an Academy Award, which comes from the designs for Spike Lee's Malcolm X back in 1993. She was nominated again for Steven Spielberg's Amistad in 1998, and even more recently, she anchored the looks for Gabrielle Union on the show Being Mary Jane. What makes Ruth so special to me, despite the fact of all of her success in Hollywood, is that Ruth graduated from the prestigious, illustrious, and the college where all the finest black women in America attend school. My alumna, Hampton fucking University. Onyx 8 Black Diamonds, bitch. Ruth graduated class of 82. And she will be returning to her home by the sea this year to deliver the 148th commencement address. I'll say this over and over again. This Black Panther shit is bringing everything in life full circle. And it's crazy how Wakanda really does seem to be forever having an impact, especially in this aspect. God damn, I can't believe I graduated college 7 years ago. I mean, what the fuck did the time go? But salute to Hampton University, the current students there. Salute to my Hampton graduates, my alumni, and a big shout out to my fellow Hampton alum doing their podcast thing. Make sure y'all subscribe to my guys, Aaron and Malik, on the No Rules podcast, where they give their honest takes on everything sports and pop culture. If you enjoyed Michael Smith and Jamel Hill when they were together on ESPN, then you'll love this fun coverage of sports, what's new in pop culture, and lots of big baller brand never took a loss type shit. Salute to them guys. And also, shout out to my guy, Wes Holder. He just started his podcast, It's the Healthful Wizard podcast. He gives life tips and small changes to help you become a better you. You'll be drinking your water and minding your business in no time. Both podcasts are on iTunes/Apple Podcast, and also you can find them boys on SoundCloud if you don't got an iPhone. Go subscribe now. Right now. So I discussed some Black Panther numbers, but I forgot to mention one more. Black Panther has officially clocked in at $19.4 million gross on this past Sunday, which is the biggest gross for any box office movie on Oscar Sunday in history. Another feat that deserves recognition, but this feat had me thinking, like, did most of the people who went to see Black Panther on Oscar Sunday see it early to make sure they were home for the Oscars? Or did we just say, Eff the Oscars and go out for a Sunday fun day? Well, it seems that people skipped that shit because the ratings for the Oscars were the worst in history, sitting at only 26.5 million viewers. Even Donald Dump bitch ass tweeted out throwing shots at the Oscars about their lowest ratings instead of, doing his job and paying attention to the other important issues as a president should. But anyways, with Black Panther still booming and the urban millennial still going to see it for the first or sixth time on a Sunday during the Oscars, do we as urban millennials even care about the Oscars that much? I doubt it. I'll be the first to tell you, I was watching a crazy Milwaukee Bucks come back on the 76ers after Ben Simmons and the boys committed like 30 turnovers. So any Oscar activity going on, I kept up with it on Facebook. And as Issa Rae said, I was rooting for everybody black. But as I'm rooting for everybody black, in my true heart, I think I feel that the Oscars aren't really for us. I did some research, and it seems like a trend of movies that typically tend to win awards and things like that are movies that white people can relate to. It seems that if white people don't understand it, or the white people can't relate on a type of level, movies won't get the love they're supposed to. You have to start with the basic question, which is, how are the Oscar winners decided? Well, the answer is right here on the FMFU podcast. Every November, more than 6,000 voting members from the 17 branches of the Academy of Motion Pictures and Scientists are sent a nominations ballot for the Oscars. On that ballot, they write their favorite 5 films in a particular order, from best director, best makeup, hairstyling, anything you can think of. The person has to nominate within their specific branch as well. So let's say a voter is a writer. Well, he can't submit a nomination for best sound director. Makes sense so far, right? After the votes are tallied up, they use a method that's identical to what I read is described as Britain's proposed alternative vote system. Not sure what that is, but basically from there, it trickles down, and then we end up with the nominees, which then they vote for a second time for their favorite one out of the nominees, and the one with the most votes is deemed a winner. Now, I think it's an interesting process because I never knew how they got nominees and winners without actually announcing, who the actual winner is. I thought, before when I was younger, I used to be like, how do they not know who's winning? And how did the people that didn't know they were going to win not know? Like, did they just pick 5 random people? Like, what? So it was like, I finally see with them being able to pick all these different movies, I finally see why just saying, I was nominated for an Oscar, it's actually a big fucking deal. I used to think just on my Ricky Bobby shit, like if you ain't first, you last. Because, I usually always think like that. But that's not the case here. And it makes sense to me. But even with the voting process, there's still issues with it. The problem with this way of voting is that, voters, they can pick films they haven't even seen. Hence, we always hear these movies winning that, like, me personally, I've never seen a commercial or an advertisement for. Like, what the fuck is Shape of Water? Like, the second problem is that, all the members of the Academy are current and also consist of retired industrial professionals. Now, wait a minute, bro. Did you just say retired? Yes, retired. Well, what's wrong with retired people voting, you may ask? What's wrong with retired, nigga? Like, just because you retired don't mean... that's true. Nothing wrong. We're not going to discriminate. But let's think about it for a second. Let me ask you a question. By a show of hands, how many of you think the Academy represents a well-diverse group of people ranging from all different races and backgrounds? Go ahead. I'll wait. Obviously, I can't see your hands, but I'm sure none of you would assume the group is well diverse membership ranging of all different races and backgrounds. There was a 2012 study, and it was found that 94% of the members were white and 77% of the community were male. What? Think about how many old white men who are retired that are still voting for these movies. Probably the same ones who voted for a Donald Dump and don't like us, or probably the ones who don't understand the culture because they were raised with different ideas and morals. Silver spoon in their mouth type motherfuckers. Are we really shocked about all of this though? How there is no diversity in the voting? Nope. Remember when Selma, the Martin Luther King Jr. biopic came out? Selma only had 2 nominations back in 2015. That's right, count it. 1, 2. 2 nominations. How the fuck does the Martin Luther King Jr. biopic only get 2 fucking nominations? How does this happen? Now, I'm not going to sit up here and make it seem like we never win an award at all, because then that would be false. However, we probably don't win as much as we should. We might have, a year or two where we get lots of nominations, but it seems like we can never come up with lots of dubs. Political or no? Who knows? I don't have an exact answer, but we all know politics and race play a part. Hey, in the words of my man Samuel L. Jackson, he said, and I quote, "I voted for Barack because he was black, because that's why other folks vote for other people, because they look like them. That's American politics. Pure and simple." English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Sticking to the topic of the Oscars, I did the math, and out of the whole 17 categories, we did have a couple dubs, including Charles Burnett, who was the Academy Honorary Award, which, honestly, I think that shit's like a free space on a bingo board, because I don't think you're going against anyone. Jordan Peele, who won Best Original Screenplay for Get Out, which was well-deserved. And last but not least, Kobe Bean Bryant won Best Short Animated Film for Dear Basketball. So in retrospect, we got 2 wins for the culture out of 17 categories. Yay! 2 for 17. That's like 12%. Woo! Get Out, again, Get Out was well-deserved. It is probably one of the most woke movies of all time and displayed great artistry and meaning behind its messages. Niggas need to leave those white girls alone. I haven't seen Kobe's film, but regardless, I was happy he won because, well, he's black. And also it shows that we are not confined to only being able to shut up and dribble. And we're capable of a lot of different things. Yeah, that's right. Fuck you, Laura Ingraham, you fucking ignorant racist ass bitch. But I won't keep talking about that because that hoe doesn't deserve any more name recognition from the FMFU podcast. But anyways, we're capable of a lot more than we might have been destined to be. Kobe was destined to be an all-time great at basketball. But who knew that he would have won an Oscar, though? Shit is amazing, and although I've never been the most die-hard Kobe Bryant fan, I have always respected his killer instinct mama mentality, his ability to get his 2 championships without Shaq, and I respect him even more because of how he has carried himself and spoken about social injustices after his retirement from the game. Kobe winning an Oscar should be nothing but a positive moment. But, as spoken about in episode 13, and I will quote myself here, because when you say some good quotable shit, you can do that. For every one positive thing, thought, or idea is an equivalent negative thing, thought, or idea that follows. So, as of Wednesday, March 7th, there was approximately 16,937 people confirmed on social media that don't feel the same as me and are in tune, turning this winning moment into the negative thing that follows. Well, damn, my nigga Reese, that's a lot of people. How'd you get that exact number? There's a link to a website online called the Petition Site. And if you're really curious, you can Google this very easily. But this site is a petition website for events. And there's a petition set up to, quote unquote, take Oscar nomination away from Kobe Bryant, a known rapist. This petition page goes on to say, and I quote, signed the petition to ask the Academy to rescind this nomination because Kobe Bryant is a known rapist. In 2003, Kobe Bryant raped a 19-year-old hotel employee. He tried to avoid being charged by paying off his victim and settled a civil assault case out of court. An important conversation has been started about sexual assault and harassment. So why is Bryant being honored for Best Animated Short if time really is up? Sign on to ask the Academy to take this nomination away.
It's the FMFU podcast, bitch.
My problem with the petition is that it incorrectly says that Kobe is a quote-unquote known rapist. The petition false flag Kobe was not guilty in a court of law, so he was not convicted of any crimes to be considered a known rapist. You can't look up his stuff online and he'd pop up on one of them little nasty sites that you can see the nasty people who's in your neighborhood and stuff like that. The case never made it to trial when his accuser made the decision not to testify. It is true that she asked Kobe to issue an apology and she filed a separate civil suit, which they did settle under private terms. Kobe acknowledged the incident occurred and then he stated this, and I quote, "Although I truly believe this encounter between us was consensual, I recognize now that she did not and does not view this incident the same way as I did. After months of reviewing discovery, listening to her attorney, and even her testimony in person, I now understand how she feels that she did not consent to this encounter." Now, everybody can assume that the petition was brought to the forefront because there has been a lot of scandal going on in Hollywood and other places, and it's been brought to light and turned into the Me Too and the Time's Up movement, which are both great and necessary. The Me Too and Time's Up movement are excellent, and I'm glad it is something that brings everyone together and can help get women to speak out against these sick men out here who think they can do whatever they want with no consequences. Especially these nasty men who attempt to assault younger women. I can't stand that. But I gotta say this though. I have a wife, a daughter, a mother, grandmother, and lots of other women in my life. So hear me out. I'm going to make sure I choose my words very carefully because I do not want anybody to misinterpret my perception and think something totally different from what I'm trying to say. I would never want anyone to think that I am not sensitive to the situation some of these women who are breaking silence have been through. But now that I have said that, I think there is a bit of hypocrisy with the petitions. I'm not deeming that we shouldn't care about women and what they have been through assault-wise, whether it's been 30 years ago, 15 years ago, however long. But one thing that kind of shocked me when I saw this petition for this shit was that he wasn't technically convicted, and it was 15 years ago. So lots of time when it comes to race, we as the urban culture, we typically hear from people, and it's these same people who gang bang on keyboards behind the monitors and want to be internet gangsters. We hear shit like, "Oh, racism was so long ago. Oh, racism doesn't exist anymore. Get over it. It was so long ago. Why are you still complaining about it?" Well, as a member of the urban millennials, I have to say this. How come we have to forget about the slavery and racism that occurred that wasn't quite as long as white people thinks and still going on today, but you won't forget about a situation with Kobe Bryant where he wasn't found guilty? Now, as a realistic type thinker, I can understand the Kobe petition. Because, as I always say, there is no surprise that there are billions of people in the world. And I'm not surprised there are 16,000 people who signed this to display their feelings. There are probably even more who haven't signed the petition that feel some type of way about him winning the award, since the Oscars was basically a big sponsor of the Me Too movement. I mean, the Oscars went as far as to remove James Franco from a Best Actor nomination for his movie Disaster Artist because of the allegations currently against him. The problem with the petition is that it continues to showcase how we as a society pick and choose on what we feel is important. Me Too is what's, for lack of better words, I guess, it's a hot thing at the moment. So people are probably only petitioning Kobe because Me Too has turned into a hot topic. If there was no Me Too and all of the Hollywood accusations going on right now, there'd probably be no petition. Think about it. And remember, we are a "what have you done for me lately" society. And since this is unfortunately a very relevant thing, as it should be relevant, it is getting a lot more attention, even in areas where it probably wouldn't have normally gotten the attention, aka Kobe getting an Oscar. But despite the fact, I got another question, and I gotta ask this. Are people only making petitions against Kobe because he was awarded a win for which is considered maybe a white award? Kobe played in the NBA, which is a predominantly black league, and won his final 2 championships in 2009 and 2010. With the accusations of his assault occurring in 2003, how come there weren't any petitions against Kobe's NBA championships in 2009 or 2010, or his regular season MVP, any of the MVPs, anything? Some might argue the fact of, well, it's a team sport. You can't petition the team championship. Okay, I get that. You got a point there. This is a true statement. But if you get technical, Dear Basketball was a team effort as well. Kobe was the writer and the narrator, as it was based on his piece he had written for the Players Tribune announcing his retirement. But it was directed by Glenn Keane, produced by Jenny Rim, and the musical score was done by John Williams. Isn't this short film of Dear Basketball a team effort as well? You damn right it is. So why would a petition come for a team award 15 years after an incident, the incident with no convictions, when no petition came for his other team award in basketball only 6 and 7 years later? Well, it's like I said before, because the NBA is the National Black Association. Why people don't care about what basketball players do, and they don't really care about what they do or how they do it until it hit home to them. Hence the LeBron comments about the shut up and dribble from the girl. She felt it was attacking her president and other things like that. A lot of them don't even watch NBA ball because they rolling with the Trump Football League. So those thugs, as they call them on the sites, can do what they want in their sport. Oh yeah, it's true. I read comments online and everything, and people be on there calling NBA players thugs for no reason at all. Even guys who just never been in trouble or anything. But, I mean, I'll let you take a wild guess at, why they call them that. Act blade poupée. Whether it be true or not, white award or not, it makes me wonder how, Black Panther will fare next year when it's that time, to get some Oscar nominations or some Oscar love. I feel that even if it rakes in the most money of all time, it doesn't matter how much money T'Challa makes or how low he might stoop, because even if he is in the Benz, he's still a nigga in a coupe. Gary Oldman won Best Actor for his portrayal of Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour. Winning this award is a positive thing, but as always, the negativity follows. Social media went into an uproar over this, but you probably didn't hear about it because there was no petition, unlike, the black guy, Kobe Bryant. But anyways, back in 2001, Oldman's ex-wife had claimed in divorce papers, he beat her with a phone like 3 times in front of their children. Charges were never filed against Oldman when the alleged incident occurred. And after the messy divorce, he ended up still getting granted custody of his kids. Because of all the backlash people were saying online about him, his son even broke down and wrote a letter after the Oscars this past week defending his father, saying that the incident of assault never occurred between, his mother, and, some things are being a little more twisted than they should be. I personally found it ironic that charges were never pressed and it had only gotten brought up during the year of their divorce. I don't know, maybe to possibly shoot for custody of the kids or something like that. Now, don't get it twisted. As I said before, this is a very serious situation. And although we should take into consideration any concern that is being brought to the light, I hate the fact when everyone jumps on board to something without the facts. I grew up in a place where when a story gets told, everyone believed it as long as it sounded good. A wise man once said, in today's society, if someone says it, it's deemed true. Well, actually, I said that. So call me wise man Reese. But anyway, think about it. As soon as you hear such and such allegedly did this, such and such allegedly did that, I mean, there's no trial. In our minds, we automatically assume, boom, that nigga guilty. Cut that shit out. as with any abuse to women, whether it be physical, sexual, we have to take our feelings out of the situation and be smart on what is true based on facts, not feelings. I mean, think about it this way. If a guy was charged with murder and found not guilty, would we continue to punish him in the public light for being proven not guilty? Would we still deem him a murderer even though it was proven he didn't do it? Now, for all my trivial people, yes, there are corrupt lawyers, corrupt government, etc. I get it. But are you just going to be pessimistic your whole life and just assume that everyone and everything in this world is corrupted that way? I don't really think that's a good or a healthy way to live. But as I stated earlier, we pick and choose how we want to look at situations. Think about the O.J. Simpson trial. If you ask any black person, did O.J. do it? They'll probably be like, nope. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. You ask any white people, do they think O.J. did it? And they'll probably say, well, they're probably not going to want to give an answer because they probably felt this black ass should be in jail for, being a nigga involved with a white woman and potentially murdering her. But, hence they hit him with all those years when he was stealing the stuff back or whatever the case is. But I guess my point is that we have to be considerate of all of the facts of the matter. We don't want to just assume because someone is accused of something, they are automatically deemed guilty. Emmett Till got killed for that. And just because someone happened to be accused of something and they end up being found not guilty, we have to just hope to God that the ruling is true. Most assault victims, most assault charges against the people who's being charged are normally instant career enders for the accused men. So in the situation with Gary Oldman and Kobe, luckily they both went on to have illustrious professional lives following their accusations. And they capped them off with Oscar wins Sunday. But even with the Oscar win, they're still both stuck in La La Land. Even when they win, they gonna lose. I wanted to salute K Love from the Cleveland Cavaliers for his contribution to the Players Tribune about mental health. A lot of people, or if you're not maybe big basketball fans or even Cavs fans, Kevin Love, one of the players on the Cavs, he's 29 years old, and he's actually a couple months older than me. And on November 5th of last year, he pretty much shared what happened on that date. And basically, like during the game, he was saying how he started dealing with panic attacks during the game. I don't want to get into the whole article because I think it's something that everybody should check out online because it gives you great insight on sometimes what people are going through and not even realizing it. And it's a very good read. But to give a little bit of light and make a long story short, it just shows that it doesn't matter, your age, your situation, or anything else. Everybody in life goes through things, and sometimes it's best to open up about it. Holding in things because we as men, especially, we're constructed from birth, from when we're younger, to be strong, and any mental issues we have are considered, soft or weak. And I've talked about this before, that's a ridiculous idea, even though it's hard to get away from that because it's been something that's been instilled for us forever. We shouldn't look at that situation like that. It's kind of great that we're living in times now where people are actually starting to open up more about this and taking it more serious, because back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you probably wouldn't have people looking at things like this. And this is the reason why people turn to drugs and do crazy shit and kill people out of nowhere. And like, people think that, it's just something wrong with him. Yeah, it is. And he probably needed some help. And if somebody was probably listening to help whoever it is out, maybe it could have helped save their lives or anything. So, it doesn't mean, because you brought up well or you made money, doesn't mean you don't go through anything. Some people seem to think that just because someone isn't, say, grew up poor or from the hood or shit like that they can't go through things. And, money isn't everything. So even if you making millions of dollars or a lot of, or like us, regular money, whatever, like, you shouldn't feel that you're not able to talk about your issues to anybody, whether it's a loved one, a best friend, or whoever. So I just think that, everyone has problems, and it's always best when we make sure we can communicate these problems, especially with the people we love and the ones close to us. Talk it out. Make it happen. Thank you for listening to the FMFU podcast, the podcast that's from me and for us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, and comment, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or Google Play. Also, make sure you get at me on my social media pages. I have a Facebook page, which you can search for From Me For Us, or you can leave it in a status at FMFU_podcast. Also, get at me on Twitter and Instagram at the same @names. That's at FMFU_podcast. Remember, people, always keep it a buck, always keep it 1,000, and perception is everything. I hope you have a nice day. Still fuck y'all.